Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Minister, Director of Education, Ms. Aretha Clark, Undersecretary, Ms. Charmaine Sinclair, Assistant Director of Education, Mr. Lamont Gray, Ms. Samantha Gray, Ms. Valerie Gator, other officials of the Ministry and the Department of Education, ladies and gentlemen, generally members of the press, one-on-one, BTC, our corporate partners, thank you for joining us. We've come together at what is today we know to be a challenging time for us, but one which we intend to deal with adequately and to overcome. In September 2019, most of you will recall that something struck the Bahamas called Hurricane Dorian. At that time, students from both Abaco and Grand Bahama were displaced as a consequence of that hurricane. To the rescue came a partnership of one-on-one, a company out of Jamaica, in partnership with the Bahamas BTC, to assist us in dealing with the learning gaps that were created by this hurricane. At no cost to the students and the government of the Bahamas, one-on-one stepped in and provided virtual lessons for these schools, for these children from Abaco. The partnership was further expanded upon when we talked about when we came to the media and under the auspices of Sandals, we had a press conference to announce this partnership. At that time, the Bahamas Union of Teachers was also a proponent of the one-on-one partnership, and in fact, the union has continued to speak to their role in bringing one-on-one to our attention. One-on-One is a company that is well known and respected throughout the Caribbean region and elsewhere for the work they have done in developing learning management systems and education management systems for children throughout the region. Following the Hurricane Dorian experience, One-on-One and the BTC partnership continued to provide assistance to the children of the Bahamas. During the holding of the national exams, One-on-One and BTC assisted us to identify learning gaps, and they assisted us in adding content to the learning management system platform based on the Department of Education's curriculum. Since that time, they've continued to provide assistance to us. At this time, there is an intention to undertake a tender process to identify a company to deal with these issues on a long-term basis. Because of what happened with the pandemic, we needed an immediate solution to get to these students so that students could return to some semblance of normalcy. One-on-One stepped in again, and we appreciated the assistance that they've been able to bring to us. There is a tender process which will be underway, but as I said, we needed to develop an immediate solution for children to return to the classrooms who had been displaced since March. And One-on-One has continued to fill that gap for us. So here to elaborate more on this matter, we will be joined in the first instance by the Director and then the Minister of Education. And let me just say that one of the other reasons why we went with One-on-One is that they developed such a warm rapport and relationship with the virtual school. The virtual school, were it not for One-on-One, we would certainly not have had the reach which we had in the virtual school that we now have. So we know that One-on-One has demonstrated its tremendous corporate partnership with us in collaboration with BTC. There has been no unethical or illegal conduct associated with this arrangement in any way, and it's regrettable that persons have chosen to take this opportunity to make such assertions which are incorrect and which are unfortunate. So at this time, I'll now invite the Director of Education to come forward with further comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Permanent Secretary. Good morning, Minister,
Undersecretary Clark, other senior colleagues here at the Ministry of Education, members of the media. I'd like to provide a little more contextual background for the understanding of what we have in place in terms of an EMIS and an LMS, what they are all about, why we have them, and how it's a greater part of the work that we've been doing over several decades. Since COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic in March of this year, life and society in the Bahamas and across the globe has changed in obvious and meaningful ways. Certainly, efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 have brought restrictions to face-to-face engagement. If this were 20 years ago, our options would have been severely limited. Fortunately, because of the advancement and growth of the ICTs and their ubiquitous presence, we have greater options today. In fact, if there's a good thing about COVID-19, it is that measures to stop the spread of the virus by limiting human contact has catapulted the use of the virtual space. Over the last 2 decades, the Ministry of Education has sought to integrate ICTs into the education system, both to improve and enhance the administration of schools and the teaching and learning process. In the last 3 years, the Ministry has commenced a comprehensive program to create smart schools all over the Bahamas. And this involves providing all schools with high-speed internet service, outfitting school campuses with hardwire and Wi-Fi access, improving digital literacy in students by integrating the use of tablets and other devices in the learning experience of these students, procuring tablets for all students from pre-primary to grade 3, providing robust professional development activities for teachers in the area of technology integration into the curriculum implementation process, and installing both an education management information system, which we call EMIS, and a learning management system, which we call an LMS. Prior to COVID-19, the Ministry of Education was pleased with the progress being made to develop and implement this program. However, with the coming of the COVID-19, the Ministry of Education has had to fast-track its efforts in order to make the delivery of education possible during this period. Teams from BTC, Cable Bahamas, Walker's Industry, One-on-One, Global Sun, DTAD, and the Ministry of Education have worked tirelessly during the last several months to fast-forward this program to the point where we are today. Although we are not completed, and although everything has not been perfected, we are confident that we have made tremendous improvements on what we had and that we have advanced sufficiently to permit us to engage students and staff effectively using these ICT tools which are now available to us. Over the last few weeks, considerable efforts have been made to customize and populate both the EMIS and LMS so that they can meet the needs of our local education system. Currently, the EMIS efforts to ready the EMIS include the following: identifying school administrators who have then served to populate the EMIS with the pertinent information on all students, staff, and the academic programs on offer at schools, and issuing of usernames and passwords to more than 42,000 students and 2,900 teachers. The EMIS is up and running. We are looking forward to using this, the EMIS, not only because it will make and will continue to make the management of the daily operations of schools a lot easier for school administrators. Right now, if we want information, or prior to right now, if we wanted information on what is happening in schools, we would have to call around to each school they would have to manually go and collect the information and then collate it and then send it to the ministry. Sometimes, for something that you may think is quite simple for us to get, it might take days because administrators are engaged in their daily activities. And when we have to call them to get that bit of information, it pulls them away, or they have to juggle it between doing other things, and it's a lot longer process. So now, much of the information that we require of persons will be collated through this EMIS system, and it will be made available in seconds more than days. Also, not only will it improve the daily management of schools, but it will also greatly assist the decision-making process at all levels, including at the policy level, and it will improve our ability to report to various local and international stakeholders. Additionally, the data in the EMIS, which is the management system, are migrated onto the LMS, which is the learning management system, to accommodate the teaching and learning process. The LMS is the system used to house educational resources. So teachers have created different educational resources that we now put on this LMS. They're able to share it with one another. They're able to share it with their students readily, and they are able to retrieve it very quickly and readily. The LMS also assists in the delivering of educational content and instruction, which could include both live instruction, so getting it in real time, and also permitting students to go back and get the lessons, so more or less instruction on demand when you need it. So you may have been in a class earlier today, you may have been following, but you didn't really get it. You can go back at 7 o'clock in the evening if you wish, watch the class again, and be reinforced and re-enhance what it is that you need to get from that lesson. And also, the LMS will provide educational assessment opportunities for students. This is the platform that will facilitate the teaching and learning process, and where students and teachers meet on a daily basis. This is the LMS. Currently, we are using the LMS for virtual instruction, primarily on the islands of New Providence, Abaco, Ilusra, and as of yesterday, for example, just under 21,000 persons accessed and engaged on this platform. 21,000 persons engaged on the platform yesterday. Other students are receiving their instruction face-to-face, and then yet there are some who are engaging their instructions via the virtual school, which currently is not on the learning management system. The principal of the virtual school, Mr. Gray, is here, and the virtual school covers islands such as Mayaguana, Rumkey, Auckland, schools in the Exuma Keys, Grand Key, and others. And they have been receiving instruction virtually, although not on the learning platform. And so, as the public is aware, the Department of Education did experience some challenge, some technical challenge on Tuesday. We did have an interruption to our system. Indeed, because of the challenges that were experiencing with people getting on or people being in the system and getting bumped out and so forth, the decision was made to stop the program, to do a proper maintenance exercise so that when the system was up and running again, the challenges that people were having in terms of getting on or staying on would be minimized or eliminated. Thankfully, many of our schools had in place a plan B. That plan B often entailed them using other software to deliver the instructional program, other software that were not running through the LMS. Some are still currently running off the LMS. And so when I give you the numbers of 21,000, it would not include those persons. Others of you may have heard of some people who are saying that people are teaching but they're not on the LMS. That is because some have continued their plan B until such time as we have ensured them of certain protocols so that they can return to the LMS. So one-on-one and Amazon Web Services have come up with a solution which has now permitted us to resume activities on our LMS. As we said, it ran all day yesterday with no challenges, and we are very confident that as we move forward, we will be able to engage students fully on this platform. It is important for you to realize why we want to use an LMS. In addition to the fact that it houses resources and it permits the delivery of education, it also provides us to have an abundance of information on the activity of students and teachers on that platform. Which students have attended. Prior to us having an LMS, we would not be able to know which specific student was engaged in the teaching and learning process. We also could know more about the classes that students attend so that we could understand if a student has not performed, well, you missed these classes and maybe these are the classes you need to go back and take, and so on. So having the LMS will permit us not only to actually deliver the education, it will be able to help us to understand a lot more about what happens in our education system. And so, as we move forward, we are anticipating that we will, because the system is new, have challenges. Some will be of a technical nature, although we are hopeful that we will not have the level and the type of interruption that we had on Tuesday. But we are reasonable and we are realistic to know that there will be some challenges from time to time. We also know that we will have challenges in terms of user error. And this is why our efforts to train teachers and to train students are ongoing and persistent. If you go on our website, for instance, you will see videos that are there for students to assist them with things like logging on and so on, so that they could get comfortable with the system and be able to navigate it properly. We've also established support lines for people to call in if they need guidance as to how to navigate the LMS. And so the ministry is willing and able to support its users in being able to maximize the software that we put in place, the LMS, to the benefit of all. We are grateful and thankful to all of the school administrators, teachers, and parents, and students who have been understanding during the process. Certainly for those who have indicated that they had challenges of any sort, whether it was accessing the portal or whether it was trying to get on the portal once it was up and running. We are heartened by the calls that we have gotten from them, because it shows us that there is a great level of interest in students learning during this period of time. You know, before COVID-19, I would drive around sometimes in the morning times and we'd see all sorts of students not in school, not engaged. And you say, how is it that we have so many students on a school day who are not in school? So the fact that we are not meeting in the school environment, but yet we could have 21,000 people logging on in New Providence. And as time goes, we will build that number. As confidence grows, that number will build. Speaks to the fact that there are many people who do value their education and the education of their children. And our work in the Ministry of Education is to collaborate and to provide the services that we can and to ensure that students are provided with a quality education. So I'm sure at some point you may have some more specific questions which we're quite happy to address, but we wanted to provide this general overview so that you can have a greater appreciation for what it is that we're doing and how it works. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Particularly your observations that where there were gaps on Tuesday, the schools filled in and created contingency measures. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. At this time, I'll call on the Honorable Minister to make remarks, please.
Thank you very much, PS. Good morning, everyone, and appreciate Director, Appointment Secretary, Ms. Clark, the executives of the Ministry of Education, executives of Cable and Wireless, BTC, One-on-One, Mr. Ricardo Allen, who is our lead technical officer in this respect. Ladies and gentlemen and members of the media, I'm proud to announce that our system is fully operational and maximized at its greatest efficiency, the learning management system. The challenges of Tuesday past are behind us. It has been tested and retested to determine its capability of absorbing the demand that was placed upon it in the initial stages of Tuesday morning. It has not only met those demands, but it has exceeded it. And we are happy and we are proud to announce that this morning. As the director indicated, let's place some context. 3 years ago, the Ministry of Education embarked on a $20 million digitization process. We understood and accepted that this is a digitized world, and the operation of human beings in this world requires them to have a facility of learning and understanding and execution that is required in a 21st century reality. Because of this, and recognizing the place and the state of the Ministry of Education at the time, we realized that in order for this to happen, we had to make all of our facilities smart facilities, every single one of our 172 schools and 60 satellite buildings, which we are nearly 85% on the way to completion. A signature feature of this would have been an educational management information system called an EMIS. Now, the experience of the installation and implementation of a robust EMIS program takes anywhere from 18 to 24 months. This has been the case in Turks and Caicos Island, Belize, and even Barbados. I'm proud to tell you that in the Bahamas, led by One-on-One under the auspices of the Ministry of Education, we have been able to do it in 4 months. Yes, we have made it 1/6 of the time of what we would have ordinarily had the experience of elsewhere. And I think this is tremendously commendable for the Herculean task which has been undertaken by One-on-One, our educators, and our senior leadership team here at the Ministry of Education. I'm also proud, as the director indicated, of our educators, our teachers, and our administrators for the resilience they exhibited on this Tuesday past. When recognizing the challenges that we incurred, they were able to seamlessly move into an alternative virtual space, which enabled a continuation of the instruction for our 46,000+ students. Now, bear in mind that a number of our schools across the country were already in a face-to-face mode. Principally, it was Abaco and New Providence that was virtual. And even in that misfortune on Tuesday, we still had somewhere around 13,000 students who was able successfully to access the system. That grew, as the director said just a moment ago, to some 21,000 yesterday. And as the confidence in the system builds, we expect that there will be, again, the greatest possible access to the learning management system. So we're proud and we are grateful, and we are excited about how education has come, because what it demonstrates is, despite the naysayers and the purveyors of doom about the educational system in the Bahamas and the interest of our Bahamian students and their parents about appetite for educational advancement, yesterday and the day before and continuing has proven that to be false. Our people are very interested in their education. They are delighted to continue to pursue their educational advancement, and all of our experiences have demonstrated that most keenly. Yes, we have a situation that is new to us, learning management system and educational management information system, never ever before implemented in our country. Naturally, there will be from time to time certain inconveniences and possible disruptions, but as we have demonstrated through the collaboration of our vendors and our partners, we will meet those challenges and overcome them successfully to the benefit of our number one clients, our parents and students. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. At this time, we will call on BTC to bring remarks. Is Andre Knowles on, or is somebody else from BTC? Andre is there. Oh, Andre is there? Okay, we now call on Mr. Andre Knowles from BTC to bring remarks at this time.
Members of the press, good morning. My name is Andre Knowles. I am the Director of Business at BTC. Last November, BTC, through our parent company, Cable and Wireless Communications, announced a $100,000 grant to the One-on-One Educational Services Company to provide a virtual learning management system for the government of the Bahamas. The virtual learning platform was designed to assist students affected by Hurricane Dorian with their studies. And to supplement this, BTC Study also provided students with access to additional live classes and content in preparation for their BJC and BGCSE examinations. The wonderful thing is the additional classes were accessible by students all across the country. Now, during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, BTC and One-on-One continued to work along with the government to further expand their virtual learning platform. We are pleased that the government has extended its partnership with us for another year. BTC has been a long-term partner with the Ministry of Education for decades. We're also pleased that the Ministry has chosen BTC as its provider for robust and secure broadband connectivity to schools across the country. The virtual platform, Bahamas One-on-One LMS.com, has been 0 rated by BTC, and students accessing the site using mobile data will not be charged. Now, so this is a huge thing. So students who are accessing the LMS that we are speaking about on their mobile devices, especially at the site Bahamas One-on-One LMS.com, it's 0 rated, will not be charged. And this is how it has been for since it was started. You know, and as mentioned already, there was an issue on Tuesday that affected access to the virtual platform. Well, certainly, look, BTC, along with the MOE, the Ministry of Education, and One-on-One Educational Services, we have a very strong partnership. And this was certainly manifested in the manner that the access issue was addressed. I will leave the technical discussion to Mr. Ricardo Allen from One-on-One Educational Services, but from our standpoint, we were first of all more than pleased at how many students accessed the system. We did not, from our prior experience, and certainly Mr. Allen would speak to this in other jurisdictions, we certainly did not expect as many students as in the Bahamas accessing the system on its first day, which is a great problem to have. So really pleased that our kids, certainly here in the Bahamas, are certainly willing and able to access the virtual system. Now, the One-on-One Educational Services Company led by Mr. Allen will obviously address all of the technical issues. But look, we are committed to working along with the ministry. We know that when we collaborate, we all win, especially our customers, our communities, and our kids. And we are thankful for our continued partnership. Thank you.
Many thanks, Mr. Knowles, for those remarks. At this time, we will call on Mr. Ricardo Allen from One-on-One to bring remarks.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Honorable Minister, members of the press, members of the executive team and the management team at the Ministry of Education, those who are tuning in, good morning. I'm pleased to inform you that with our partnership with BTC, the Ministry of Education, we've successfully onboarded over 2,500 teachers unassisted. That a project that essentially started 4 months ago. As Minister alluded to, a project of this size, of this magnitude, would have taken anywhere from 18 months, in some cases going up to 3 years. We have successfully done majority of that work, a lot of that work within the past 4 months. And we did it not by ourselves. It was a team effort. The Ministry of Education, the school administrators, the planning team, everyone banded together in a crisis, understanding that the outcome of what we do today affect the future of our country, the future of the Bahamian people. And so we have set out on a vision to not necessarily implement what we call a COVID response. That's not what we're doing. The vision which has started, which has been started, rallied around having a digitized education system. And to do this, we have to focus on digitization of our records, digitization of just about all the touch points in the education system, customizing and configuring a system to ensure that it properly reflects the realities on the ground. The Bahamas is one of the most unique places on this earth. We're talking about over 700 islands and keys. And little nuances that are unique to the Bahamian people that makes us what we are. And what we've gone about doing is to take that experience on the ground and to take that online so that it's seamless. I'm happy to inform you that through the work over the summer, leading into the start of school, and still continues, this is a progressive thing that we're doing, we've managed to digitize records of over 45,000 students, over 2,500 teachers. We've created classes and homerooms in excess of 2,500 classes. And these are homerooms essentially where students are coming in the morning and in the evening. And just to highlight the fact that the education management information system allows the flexibility of transitioning from face-to-face to online and vice versa, right? So whether we're doing face-to-face, online, or blended, the education management information system allows us that flexibility. And this was very important in the design and implementation of it. I share with you that, the Bahamas is not the first place that an education management information system of this kind has been implemented, but I can tell you that, we are the 5th country in this hemisphere to implement such a program. And I'm very happy and proud to say that the reaction and the attitude that has been kind of given to this initiative far surpasses anything that we've seen anywhere else, right? And we've seen many. So we're very pleased about the progress that we've made. But in progress sometimes come challenges. And what are those challenges? Well, for starters, we are implementing a system which would usually require boots on the ground, going around, capacity building, going to schools, meeting with the various stakeholders and so on. Historically, all of these other countries, we've done it on the ground. And now we are doing this implementation in a situation where we have a COVID and we are doing it online. And to achieve what we have under those circumstances is simply remarkable. We could not have planned it. And with that, we have had challenges. Who have not? We've had challenges. Some of them you're seeing, some of them we're working on. But the one that was most visible was at game time. On Tuesday, we had a system ready, load tested. Well, that's what we thought. We assumed normal behavior in a situation where the attitude of the Bahamian people has surpassed anything that we've seen before. They are energized, ready to join their classes, waiting 6 months, some of which they have not had classes, and so they're eager to get into classes. And this is what happened. Within a 3-minute period, thousands of students came onto the system, causing there to be a maintenance defense mechanism. System was temporarily down. We managed to get back the system up. And yesterday we had a day where over 30% more students came to the platform. No issues in terms of platform sustainability and so on. And so the platform, there are no issues so as far as the ability to sustain the pressures and the load that may come. In fact, I'm proud to share with you that currently, based on the testing that we've done, we can accommodate in excess of 60,000 students based on current setup and configuration. The system is secure, ready to be used, but I just want to tempt many things that would have taken months to be done, that we're attempting to see how best we're doing that. And as a result, we've got to prioritize things that, usually, let's suppose, we train persons in a sequence that kind of mirrors the education system. But our focus has been to focus on our teachers, to focus on getting the students to classes, to focus on our school administrators. And from that, involving more persons as we get deeper and deeper into the implementation on the platform. And for this, what we're talking about are our district superintendents and just about everyone who is involved within the education system. Our stakeholders are not going to be left out. Everyone who has a part to play outside of the operations of a school, the operations of a ministry. This is why we're doing what we're doing. And so I share with you the confidence of the team, backed by Amazon AWS, backed by our team at Open EMIS, who are working tirelessly around the clock, right? Our solutions team working tirelessly around the clock. This is not, by any stretch of the imagination, been the largest project that we've had to do. But it's interestingly one of the most unique ones. We've implemented things that you're seeing now for places with over 2 million students. And so, we're very pleased about the work that we've done, the work that we continue to do, but much more needs to be done. It's not perfect, but we can get there with your involvement, with your participation, and your continued support. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Allen. At this time, we will take questions from the media. And if persons would just raise their hands, and then we'll have the members of the team come up and answer any questions which you wish to raise. Okay, lady in B. Yes, ma'am. Ken, I wonder if he can hear you. Okay.
My question's for Mr.
Allen, can you take this question, please?
I know that you mentioned that there is still some work to be done on the LMS. So can you just expand on maybe some of the things that you are working on now? I know you briefly said it, but can we get an idea of what it is that you're still working on?
Okay. I wonder if persons could come and...
I did not quite hear that question.
Okay. Can persons come up and use the microphone? Mr. Allen, can you hear me?
They can come over here.
Yeah. Oh.
Come.
Okay. Can you go over? Okay. Okay.
I was saying that you mentioned some things that you are still working on with the LMS. Can you expand on what are those things? What are some of the things that you're still trying to, I guess, or challenges you're still trying to address?
Mr. Allen, the question is, can you speak further to the challenges which you have identified with the LMS?
Could you just repeat that question for us?
The official wants to know that you had spoken to challenges that you're encountering with the LMS. The question is, can you speak and detail further the challenges which you are encountering with the LMS? The challenges which you are working out now, which
Thank
were
you for that.
identified with the
So-
LMS.
Got it. Thank you for that question. So when we speak of challenges, right, we speak of challenges that, some of them are system issues, but I can tell you that most of the challenges that we're having are not system related. It relates to, again, the fact that we're trying or attempting to onboard 45,000 students, 3,000 teachers, data collection, ensuring that we have the right students assigned to classes. I mean, we've created over 28,000 subject classes. And so now the challenge is, how do we fit 45,000 students in these 25,000 subject classes in a way that is accurate, that fits their expectation? And so these are what we refer to as challenges. Now, we've made a lot of headways in terms of success. I can happily report that, as at today, we had over, as at yesterday, we had over 150 live classes that were going on within a 1 hour period, right? And so, let's call that 1 hour between 10 and 11, we had over 150 classes running simultaneously. And these are some of the successes, but naturally to get to that point, there are challenges because we need to ensure that the students are assigned to the correct classes, teachers are assigned to the correct classes. We do have situations where the teachers are assigned, some students were not assigned. We have those situations, but the good thing is, we do have a team in place working with the teachers, working with the school administrators, working with the planning team, and we're heavily supported by the planning team in this regard to ensure that the students are added to their correct classes, teachers are assigned, and classes are taking place. I must take this opportunity to share that Ms. Sinclair and her team, they have done a fantastic job in working tirelessly around the clock, and so have some of the system admins who sometimes they will reach out as early as 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to get the thing right so that we can have full classes. And we know what success looks like. Success means students can attend their classes on time, classes occur, and those teachers are able and equipped to teach those classes. And that's what we're doing now.
Thank you, Mr. Allen.
Okay. This question
Now,
is for...
Ms. Sinclair may have anything to add.
Okay.
Sorry about that, Ms. Sinclair will add.
Good morning, all. I just wanted to add that Mr. Allen would have indicated that we have a unique education system here in the region. Even though one-on-one has worked with many of the countries in the region like Barbados, Guyana, Belize, our system is a bit different from the others in the Caribbean. And this would have been one of the challenges that would have been faced by one-on-one when we started populating the EMIS, getting the education structure right, adapting it so that we are able to accommodate all of the classes, all of the programs, the levels at which we report, as well as implement programs at the school level. So this would be one of the challenges that we're currently working out, one of the areas that we're continuing to adapt, as well as the scalability of the system. Adding those persons that he would have indicated, like the district superintendents, who also have a role to play, positions that we're putting in that are teaching versus non-teaching roles. These are the challenges that we are working on, but we're confident that we will have them done by the end of next week, the latest. Thank you.
All righty. This question is for perhaps the Minister or the Director of Education. Minister Lloyd, we know you stated with confidence that the platform or the system is fully operational and it's exceeded your expectations. Since then, I've had the opportunity to share your remark on social media and gotten a lot of response from teachers as well as parents saying that in fact it's not the case. Some saying their students are assigned to other classes, some saying they don't have any students in their classes. Some just still aren't able to log on. I want to know, with any new system, there's usually challenges, and you understand that. But was this system given a full test run to, I guess, test the capacity a week or two prior to school reopening?
That would probably be better for Mr. Allen. Ms. Sinclair can speak to that.
Yes, so thank you for that question. And yes, Mr. Allen did allude to it when he spoke. Last week, we did a load testing of 50,000 users coming onto the system. One of the issues that he brought up was that because we're so eager here, schools would have told parents and students that on Tuesday when we begin, by 8:40, everyone should be in their virtual class or on the platform. So at 8:39, many persons, thousands of persons, clicked that button for login. That would have been the issue that brought about the challenge that we had. The testing did take place with the loading of the system with 50,000 persons last week.
I think in your question you also asked about some persons not being on the system, and that is also a challenge, but it's not so much a systems challenge. You heard the minister talk about confidence. So because of what happened on Tuesday, some people may not have gone back on until they were kind of sure, until they feel a little bit sure now that the system will work. And this is what we have to work on in terms of building the confidence. There's also the issue around what Mr. Allen addressed earlier when he talked about, in response to Ms. Longley's question, about the need for students to be assigned to the correct classes and teachers to be assigned to the correct classes. And some of that is we require more detailed information from schools so that we could properly place student X in class Y with teacher Z. And so Ms. Sinclair indicated that we hope to have that matter resolved in the next week or so. And so that is the part that is an iterative process. There are many moving parts to this thing. Because we're going to be anticipating that at any point in time we could have a lockdown, so we'll move to all virtual, but then things might get better, and so we'll move to face-to-face. We've had to design a timetable that permits us to move among these three models, from the virtual to the hybrid to the full face-to-face. And what we've had over the past in our education system is schools were doing a lot of different things in their own ways. But because we have to have some level of standardization, because you're moving across these platforms, and when you move to the virtual platform, everybody has to be doing the same thing, then you see where these things creep up. And so over the course of the next week or so, working with district superintendents, working with principals, working with the school level system administrators, we will deal with all of these timetabling issues. And so some people are now not going through the platform because of those challenges. Or some students might go into the platform and there's no teacher there because the teacher is working offline. So this is now what we have to consolidate, and this is the challenge that Mr. Allen identified.
Natalia Clark from the Nassau Guardian. I guess this is for the minister or the director. I know you said that it is expected that there will be bumps in the road going forward with the new system. How effective do you think that the quality of education for students participating in the ministry's virtual platform as a result of this would be? How do you think the quality of education for students will be going forward with such challenges that you foresee with the system?
So like anything else, there are challenges. Even before COVID-19 in our regular day-to-day school operation, we have challenges, right? As an education system, it's our job to try and minimize those challenges so that we will not have any encumbrances to students' learning. The same way we target challenges pre-COVID, one by one, is the same way we're seeking to do it on the virtual platform. The key to it all is identifying those challenges and working with the people who could help to overcome it. Some of the challenges, when we move to the virtual, will be with the technology. But some of the challenges will also be with different users. And so we have to look at those challenges one by one and see who we would need to provide support to in order to give them the assistance to minimize the challenges. So one big challenge we have is, what do you do when people don't have internet access? Well, some of the things that the ministry has already done include providing devices for students, making it possible for those who want to donate to make those donations and ensuring that as many students get devices. And even in the case where students can't get devices, we have provided hard copy packets so that students who completely don't have any internet access or no device can still get access to what we consider to be the best quality education that we could provide under the circumstances. Is it ideal at this point? No. But 20 years ago, some of these options would not have been available to us. And so we are doing the best that we can under the circumstances in which we find ourselves.
Good morning. My name is Ariel Bullock from the Tribune. You talk about a challenge, but one of the challenges we've heard from parents on Abaco is power outages. How are educators on those islands able to mitigate that power outage? And, you know, with things like that with Abaco, that's an island that's already disadvantaged. So how do you make up for that time?
You know, there has been a substantial increase in the availability of power over the last year. BEC, or now BPL, has made a significant inroads in the provision of for power in those islands. I think there is a technological adaptation that is provided for the internet services there by our ISPs, BTC, I don't know if they're still on, as well as Cable Bahamas or Alive, so that students in those respective islands could be still able to access the virtual school or the virtual platforms, even though there may not necessarily be power to their homes or to a particular business place.
Good afternoon. My question is directed to the director. What provisions has the ministry put in place, particularly for students at the Galvantines institution who have to, I guess, learn differently, obviously, and what provisions have been made so that with this virtual platform and the current COVID climate that we're in, so that it'll be tailor-made to them?
Thank you for the question. So the students that you specifically referred to, Galvantines, they would have an autistic unit there. And special ed is an area that we have given attention to. We have, as you may or may not know, a spectrum of students with special education needs. And so what we would have done, particularly for the EMIS side, which flows into the LMS, is that several months ago when the director convened a team of persons, special education would have been represented. They would have had an opportunity to speak to the needs of these students and what kinds of assistive devices and technology would be needed to include in the learning management system, as well as what other alternatives would need to be in place. In the EMIS, we have developed within the education structure the areas for special education for Galvantines, but also for our school for the blind, the deaf center, all of those areas. They would have represented as well as made known to us what needs to be in the education structure. Now, for the learning management system aspect of it, there are some peculiarities, some special things that also need to be included at this time. All of them are not yet included. We've done the investigation. Even up to yesterday, Aaron Gilmore School for the Blind would have made representation as to the kinds of assistive tools that they have that need to be integrated into the learning management system. It's an ongoing work. We are still building, but within the EMIS itself, we've already put into the education structure what's needed for all of the special education needs that are currently represented in the public education system.
Alrighty, just one more question, kind of unrelated, but still the ministry. Where do we stand in terms of schools being opened or closed for potential exposure to COVID-19? I understand there was another government elementary school that was closed yesterday. Anyone can answer where do we stand with that? And I got a call as well from a security officer. They're asking, well, if administrators and teachers are being sent home when there's a potential exposure, why not them as well? Can someone address that?
Thank you very much. In terms of when we have cases of COVID-19, we've established a protocol that has been agreed by the health professionals as well as those persons from the Department of Environmental Health Services. That protocol would be followed based on whether it's a suspected case or whether it's a positive case. But even when there are positive cases, it doesn't necessarily mean that the entire school has to be shut down. So it all depends on the movement of that person, how long they were in the environment, and so on. So we are guided by the advice that they provide. If they tell us that 7 of the classrooms need to be clean and disinfected and sanitized, then we do that. If we have to send people home for a particular period of time, then we do that. But once that period is over, then we ask people to return to work. We have also made provisions for some people to work remotely who can work remotely. And so in some instances, teachers are permitted to work remotely, provided they are able to meet certain conditions and so on to do that. Other workers are unable to work remotely. And it would be very difficult for a security officer or janitorial staff to actually do their work remotely. Now, there may be times when we might say, because there's a diminished engagement of persons on the staff, we don't need everyone coming. And so then we may put them on a rotation so that instead of coming 5 days a week, they may come 2 days a week or 3 days a week. But we have to secure the schools. And that work can only be done with a security officer being on staff. In terms of the health and safety of the security officer, we will ensure, as we have always done, and when you walk out, you can ask these security officers. They are given the personal protective gear. They are given the sanitizers. They are asked to follow the protocols in terms of the social distancing, and their workspaces are maintained in a sanitary manner. So we don't feel that there is a particular challenge with that. Can you say how many schools? No, I can't. I don't know the number. We have established the protocols. All of the school leaders know what those protocols are. They call the surveillance unit. They call the Department of Environmental Health Services directly. They organize it. If they need assistance, the district superintendents are able to do. We have someone who keeps general records, but I don't know that right off. Right.
One more question. Okay. This is just a clarification question. The learning platform is also inclusive of the preschoolers? Preschools, yes. Is it clear? Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just as a clarification question. I wanted to know if the learning platform included the preschoolers also. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about what's taking place for them?
So yes, the learning platform does include all of the levels of education from pre-primary to secondary right now. It is intended that the education management information system will take in even up to the tertiary level, because the planning section is tasked with representing or making available what currently exists for education in the country. The learning management side of it does include content as well as teaching of classes for the pre-primary, which would be the preschool level for education.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, for taking time to engage in this very important undertaking. We thank our partners, BTC, One-on-One, and all the other partners which the director identified. There are many persons involved in this technological expansion of the Ministry of Education. So thank you very much.